Om Shrim Hrim Klim Glam Ganapataye Varavarada Sarvajanam Me Vashamanaya Swaha. Om Shrim Hrim Klim Glam Ganapataye Varavarada Sarvajanam Me Vashamanaya Swaha. Om Shrim Hrim Klim Glam Ganapataye Varavarada Sarvajanam Me Vashamanaya Swaha. Om Shrim Hrim Klim Glam Ganapataye Varavarada Sarvajanam Me Vashamanaya Swaha. Om. Okay, Hari Om. This Ganesha is this thought. Actually, the Ganapati is the easiest to invoke in many ways. It's one of the easiest to invoke, and he is one who does not have many other side effects, unfavorable side effects. If you there are many energies that you invoke. If you don't handle them properly, you can have unfavorable side effects. Right? Like you talk about Varahi or Kali or any of these tantric devatas and devis. There are forms of Ganapati which are also quite, there are tantric forms called, there is one called as Vancha Ganapati. There are these forms which you invoke. There could be, if it's not handled properly, it's not dealt properly, there could be some side effects. But generally, by and large, just invoking Ganapati in the Vedic way, in a Vedic way, does not have any untoward side effects. So it's easy to invoke. Right? Which is why we start, whenever we start anything, it's internally it's nice to chant either Vakratunda or Gananāṃ tva Ganapati gum havamahe. Or Kalpaka, you can possibly sing Vatapi Ganapati, or you can sing Mahaganapati. So actually, Kalpaka, you've been escaping singing in the mornings, ma Kalpaka. And the Saturday morning 3 minutes singing வந்து நீ escape ஆயிட்டு இருக்க.
அது இந்தியன் ஸ்டாண்டர்ட் டைம் படி வந்தா பரவாயில்ல, நான் இந்தியன் ஸ்ட்ரெச்சபிள் டைம் படி வந்துட்டு இருக்கிறதுனால.
We have to invoke Kalpaka first நம்ம. கணபதி இன்வோக் பண்றதுக்கு முன்னாடி கல்பகாவை இன்வோக் பண்ணோம்.
ஏந்திரி.
So this in whatever form we invoke, it's good to think. In fact, if you notice, I don't know how many of you know this, the Vaishnava following does not recognize Shiva, Muruga and all of that, but they still recognize Pullayar, and they've given Pullayar a name called Tumbikai Alvar. So it's because they realize that you cannot do anything without him. ஆனா எங்களுக்கு கணேஷான்னு சொல்ல வேண்டாம், ஏன்னா ஈஷா இருக்கு, அதுல சிவனோட பேர் இருக்கே, சொல்ல வேண்டாம். அவருக்கு ஒரு ஆழ்வார் ஆக்கிய ஒரு தும்பிக்கை ஆழ்வார். அவர்
வேற போட்டிருப்பா,
ஆமா திருமணம் போட்டு அவர் எங்களோட ஆழ்வார் அப்படின்னு சொல்லி ஆழ்வார் ஆக்கி, அது மாதிரி பண்ணாதானே அவளுக்கு அக்செப்ட் பண்ண முடியும். ஸோ அது மாதிரி, ஸோ தட் இஸ் so Vaishnavites have done it that way. But the point is you cannot, it's an important force to reckon with. Right? So that way you invoke that, and it's easy also to invoke him. So we are looking at we finished the first, the Mangala Shlokam and the Shanti Mantram and the first 3 verses. We are looking at the 4th one now. Tvaṃ vāṅgmayastvaṃ cinmayaḥ. Srini, chant பண்றேமா?
vāṅgmayastvaṃ cinmayaḥ tvamānaṃdamayastvaṃ brahmamayaḥ tvaṃ saccidānaṃdādvitīyo'si tvaṃ pratyakṣaṃ brahmāsi tvaṃ jñānamayo vijñānamayo'si.
சூப்பர். கிருஷ்ணா ஒரு தடவை சாண்ட் பண்றது.
vāṅgmayastvaṃ cinmayaḥ tvamānaṃdamayastvaṃ brahmamayaḥ tvaṃ saccidānaṃdādvitīyo'si.
சச்சிதானந்தாத்விதீயோசி, அத்விதீயோசி அது.
tvaṃ saccidānaṃdādvitīyo'si.
அங்க பிரேக் பண்ணாத, சச்சிதானந்தாத்விதீயோசி அப்படி.
tvaṃ saccidānaṃdādvitīyo'si.
வெரி குட்.
tvaṃ pratyakṣaṃ brahmāsi tvaṃ jñānamayo vijñānamayo'si.
வெரி குட், சூப்பர். கல்பகா.
त्वं वाङ्मयस्त्वं चिन्मयः त्वमानन्दमयस्त्वं ब्रह्ममयः त्वं सच्चिदानन्दाद्वितीयोऽसि त्वं प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि त्वं ज्ञानमयो विज्ञानमयोऽसि.
Very nice. So he's saying tvam vāṅgmayastvaṃ cinmayaḥ. So the whole sequence of from the start it has been tvam, you are, you are, you are. Okay. See, one of the other reason is also Vedathalalam paathelna, when they're addressing that particular deity or that form, they usually don't go with a lot of respect. Inga bhavan nu sollirukkalame. Bhavan vāṅgmayah, bhavan cinmayaḥ அப்படினு சொல்லிருக்கலாமே. That is with respect. tvam அப்படினு சொல்ற second personல, because the whole revelation of the Vedic chants that have come through have been very personal revelations. It has been a very personal revelation. They did not, when these revelations came, they did not think that, oh, at some point in time, somebody like a Vyasa will come, collect everything together, and it is going to become a big corpus. Vedas is going to be the foundation and the fundamental of the whole Sanatana Dharma. Ipadiyella யோசிச்சு reveal பண்ணல. The revelation didn't happen thinking all of these things. The revelation just happened. It just happened as their natural state of being was. So when that happened, it happened in a very personal way. So in a personal way, when you're talking to somebody, when you're addressing or you're referring to somebody something, it will always be in a in the pronoun that is used for the second person or madhyama purusha. Right? And that's what we said yesterday. We said Brahman is called as tvamāsi. Right? The tat is வீட்டில் வந்து ரொம்ப வயசானவாள்லாம் இருந்தான்னு வச்சுக்கோங்களேன், sometimes the kids will say that அது உட்காந்துருக்கு அப்படின்னு. அதுகிட்ட போய் கேட்டுருக்கோம். Elders are referred to as tat, which means elders, the assumption is the elders have reached that state of Brahman. தப்பா எடுத்துக்கூடாது நம்ம. மரியாதை எல்லாமே பேசுறா அப்படின்னு we think. No. The children recognize the state of consciousness that the elders are in. So a lot of times the reference to neuter gender is not necessarily it is because you want to transcend the male and female that we saw. And when you say tvam, it is essentially because it's a very personal engagement. It is a very personal engagement. And when it's personal, you don't want to, the moment you bring some in your language, if you bring that respect, there is some amount of distance that is being created. Right? A lot, you'll see devotees when they're full in devotion, when they're addressing their Krishna or Rama, even in our own mother tongue, you will only address them in the second person. Madhyama Purusha, ni, why are you doing like this? That is how you address them. So he is going here, the Rishi, Ganaka Rishi is referring to Ganesha as tvaṃ. Tvaṃ vāṅgmayah, tvaṃ cinmayaḥ, tvamānaṃdamayah, tvaṃ brahmamayaḥ, tvaṃ saccidānaṃdādvitīyo'si. So this one, as I pointed out, it's important to, if you want to break, don't break here. Saccidānanda, or if you want to break it as saccidānaṃdādvitīyo'si or saccidānaṃdādvitīyo'si, should come that way. Tvaṃ pratyakṣaṃ brahmāsi, tvaṃ jñānamayo, tvaṃ vijñānamayo. So you are the vāṅgmayas, you are the master of speech, which means you are the you are the one who is operating through my speech. It is through your grace and because of the power that is operating as Ganesha, I am able to speak. Or it is also to request him to stay in my speech. Stay in my speech. Okay. Now I don't understand what it is because of Ganesha's power I'm getting the speech. I don't get that. I don't understand that, right? My mind doesn't understand that. But then it can also be a prayer to say that when I speak, you operate through this. Which means may the right sounds come out. We had a discussion on sounds earlier in one of these. Shrotaram, dhataram, Vaktaram, avavaktaram, protect the speaker. So how do you protect the speaker? By staying in the speech. How do you protect the speaker? By staying in the speech of the speaker. Right? Otherwise, like Kumbhakarna asked Nidratvam. Instead of Nityatvam, he asked for Nidratvam. Because Saraswati came and sat in his tongue and changed the word he's asking. So a lot of times we end up asking like that. Mandela ஒன்னு இருக்கு வாயில ஒன்னு வரும். ஐயோ நான் அது சொல்ல வரல அப்படின்னு அப்புறம் நம்ம கரெக்ட் பண்ணுவோம். So which means may my speech and thought be integral to each other. May there be may there be an integrity between the thought and speech. May I not think something and speak something else. So tvaṃ vāṅgmayah, you are in my speech, stay in my speech. Tvaṃ cinmayaḥ, be in my consciousness. Which means from my awareness comes speech. So when I make myself, make me in such a way that my awareness is there when I speak. See, tongue is the only, I think we discussed this. Tongue is the only indriya which is available to both the jnana and the karma. The jnanendriya is the tongue, the karmendriya is also the tongue. This is the only indriya that plays both the functions, which means you can receive and you can also give out. There's input and output, both can be done by the tongue. So tongue that way is very powerful. One of the most powerful tools of a human being, for a human being. Right? If the tongue is not there, the tongue is not there, all you just make sounds like like that only will make sounds. In fact, Om is said to be akara, ukara, makara without the use of the tongue. You don't need the tongue. This is the only sound that doesn't need the tongue. And that is why it's a pure sound. Every other sound requires the tongue. Speech, you need the tongue. So when tongue is so important, it's extremely important to Be aware of what you're doing. It's like you have a tool. You have a tool with you. You have an important tool like a hammer, for example. You'll be careful where you place the hammer, right? You'll not take and carelessly place it on a glass table. The chances of the table cracking because of the hammer. So this understanding that the hammer can cause damage to the glass table. This jnanam, this understanding, this awareness, this understanding may be there. But then when you're actually placing it, that knowledge should come into play. Correct? Having the knowledge is one thing. Now, urunga pesanam. I should always speak the right thing. I should speak the thing that is harmonious, not conflicting. I should always speak something that is that only brings joy to others, elevates others. Appadin, all that understanding may be there. But when I actually speak, what overtakes me? What takes over me rather? What takes over me? It is my emotion that takes over me, correct? The awareness is not operating so much. The emotion takes over. So my chitta is full of emotions at that time. My mind is full of emotions. And my speech usually comes from a place of emotion. Now, though I don't know if you have heard Velukudi Krishnan. How many of you have heard Velukudi Krishnan speak? It's so beautiful. You will never know what emotion he is carrying. It'll keep flowing beautiful.
Jokes on our Srikame Chumbar.
Ama. Joke. He will say a joke, but he will not bring that laughter in his tone. So that which means his speech is measured. Every word that is coming out is measured. He is taking care with every word that is being placed out there, because he knows the words that go out will have an impact on people, will have the impact on the Shrota. There will be impact on the Shrota. So which is why those who are sorry. So those who are gifted, they say the gift of the gab. Those who have the gift of speech and they can speak well, they can go talk in debates and they can do orations, they can go and stand on the stage and talk and all that. They have to be very, very careful in what they speak. They have to be responsible in what they speak. We tend to use it very freely, right? We have to be very careful in what we speak. Why? Because it's a tool that we have. You use this to communicate. You use this to pass instructions. You use this to elevate people or influence or motivate people. You can use the same thing to demotivate and create havoc and destruction. How did Hitler gather people? Just by speech. Right? Hitler gathered a whole army of people to go and destroy the Jews. How? By speech. So if you notice, speech is extremely it is an important tool. It is an important tool for us to be able to operate in this world as human beings. And as we want to go more and more into spiritual sadhana, you see a lot of people do maunam. They do maunam as a sadhana, which means they want to preserve that speech energy, the vak shakti, so that there is vak shuddhi. Okay? Vak shuddhi is important because a lot of times, sorry, my vak is having problem today. So the vak has to have that shuddhi naturally. which means you don't feel like saying unpleasant things. Even if somebody is bothering you, somebody is coming and irritating you, you don't feel like saying nasty things. But a lot of people are trigger friendly. We have trained ourselves over time to just speak what comes into my mouth. And we have to face the repercussions. One thing is very important, right? Like action. Why is speech a karmendriya? Why is speech a karmendriya? Think about it. Speech is an organ of action. Have we ever thought of it as an organ of action? I mean, although if you've studied Vedanta, we will say, okay, speech, hand, grasping, walking, reproduction, excretion, all of that is organ of action, we will say, because we have studied it. But think why speech is an organ of action. Everything is an organ of action, I understand. Walking, yes, action. Grasping, action. Excretion, action. All of those are actions. But how come speech is action? It is just words coming out, right? How is it action? Because it can motivate action. It can influence action. Because it has the ability to trigger action. So speech, that way it becomes, it's some words are coming out of the mouth are essentially, action is anything that that is happening by means of movement. Action is that which is happening by means of movement. So there is movement in my vocal area, in the vocal cord, and then hence there is action and there is delivery of the words. Now this is extremely important. As much as my hands generate action and I have to be conscious of it, in the same way I have to be conscious of my speech. So vāṅgmayastvaṃ cinmayaḥ. May my speech be measured. May my speech be delivered for the right things. Let us never think that when I can speak something and get away with it. We never think that I'll have to face the consequences of my speech. We never think of it that way. Then we think that I can say whatever I want to say and then get away. But it will have a consequence, because as long as this is a karma, there is a karma phala. As long as the speech is action, action is karma. It's a karmendriya. As long as there is karma phala. You have to face the consequence of what you speak. It's very important. That is why you do mauna sadhana, you try to conserve speech. You try to think before speaking. In fact, nowadays, speech is also delivered through text. WhatsApp messages. Right? WhatsApp messages are also speech. It's just delivered through the medium of text. If the person was in front of you, you would have spoken it. If the person is not in front of you, you're writing it. Sometimes you end up writing more filthy things than you would speak.
And the biggest danger is that since it does not display the emotion of the people in the text message, it can be misconstrued.
It can be misconstrued. Absolutely. Absolutely. Which is why people use bold, uppercase. They use color to send out emotion. If you did not understand that I'm angry, I want to show that I'm angry. So I'll put bold, font 40, uppercase. So that you don't misunderstand I am angry. So speech is coming out, and a lot of times you will see that we think that by writing nasty things, we are not responsible for what we are writing. The mind very easily disengages from these things, right? Recitation of sloka also comes under karma. Yes, yes, mama. That is sat karma. Recitation of slokas is sat karma. So you're chanting speech, you're using speech to create harmonious sounds of well-being. So then the karma phala will be associated in that way. The karma phala will be that way. So speech or writing text, any form of communication, it's important to recognize that we have to be aware. Cinmayaḥ, tvaṃ, cinmayaḥ, tvaṃ, cinmayaḥ. So you have to be in that awareness. You are in that awareness. tvamānaṃdamayastvaṃ, brahmamayaḥ. You are this Ananda which is there within me. You are the Brahman, which is the all-pervading consciousness. So both the Ananda which is within me is Brahman, and the Brahman that is governing this whole universe, that is also Brahman. So you're talking about the individual consciousness here, which is within me, which I experience as Ananda. We all experience Ananda, right? We all experience Ananda. In fact, because we have experienced Ananda, we are in search for Ananda. You will never go and search for something that you don't know. Because you've experienced it somewhere, you know that there is this joy somewhere there. It is hidden somewhere. It has come out at times. It has come and shown its face. There is this joy. The only problem is I am not able to retain that for an elongated period of time. I'm not able to retain that for the amount of time I want it to be. So that Ananda is there within me. Tvamānaṃdamayah and tvaṃ brahmamayaḥ. You are this Brahman. So you are the supreme consciousness, or this all-pervading consciousness which is everywhere. So you are here as Ananda within me. You are this consciousness everywhere else. You are inside this ghata, this pot. You're outside this pot. And you're an Ananda. You're Ananda essentially in both places. So Ananda has to be understood as this joy. And there's a term that I had told once, ahaituki. Ahaituki means to be joyful without a reason. So if you recognize within you, there are times you're joyful without a reason. That is pure joy. Of course, the joy that you get because you've received, you've obtained, you've got something, that is also from the same source, no doubt. But if you want to experience pure joy, is when you just feel joyful. You go on a yatra, you go someplace, you go to some temple somewhere, you just feel joyful. Just that place is the vibe, the environment gives you a certain kind of joy. Have you got something? Maybe not, but then just the presence gives you some kind of joy. You have tasted this joy. We have all tasted it. When a small child smiles, see the neighbor child, you've seen this child during one of the satsangs, right? The small child, it smiles so beautifully. People around, they want to make her smile. They make every effort so that the child smiles, because that smiling of the child gives them joy. Some kind of a joy that is there just by looking at the child smile. So everybody makes an effort. People who come, the guests who come to their house, all of us, we try to make the child smile, because just by looking at that smile, there is a joy. tvamānaṃdamayastvaṃ brahmamayaḥ. Tvaṃ saccidānaṃdādvitīyo'si. Tvaṃ sat chit ananda. Sat is consciousness. Chit is existence. Ananda is bliss. Sat chit ananda. Consciousness, existence, bliss. Existence is something which is always there. Correct? Existence is something that you have never experienced the lack of. Has anybody here experienced the lack of existence? Have you experienced your non-existence? That somebody might come and tell, "Settu poita poiduva appadinu. If you die, you will go." But have you experienced it? Neither the person who is saying it has experienced it. When you see somebody else die and go, you think that they don't exist. In your perception, it seems as though that person doesn't exist, but your own existence, you'll never be able to deny it. Whether you sleep, you go to coma, you come out of coma also. 10 years, somebody went into coma and came back. Do they feel the loss of their own existence? After 10 years, they'll come back from coma. They'll think that they just went to sleep yesterday, day before yesterday, 2 days back. They won't know the passage of time. They may not know the passage of time, but they will never experience their non-existence. In the state of coma, they'll be completely in a state of stillness, quietude. The whole ajnanam would be in an avarana. As a layer, ignorance will be shrouding their mind and intellect. But when they become awake, when their jagrat avastha appears, you ask them, they may not remember where they went, what happened, they may not remember those things, but they will not say, "Nee irundiya?" Appadinu ketta, "Na irunden dhan solluva." Na illama I became non-existent is not something that ever you'll, just for your own experience, you will never be able to say that to anybody at any point in time. That is because na bhavo vidyate satah, na abhavo vidyate satah, which means one cannot experience the abhava of oneself. Na abhavo vidyate satah. It is impossible for one to recognize one's own non-existence. So where is existence? Existence is always there. And this existence is consciousness. This existence is always aware. This existence that you experience is always aware. It is aware of its own self, aware of its own existence. Sat Chit. And how does this, what state is it? It's Ananda. 10 years if somebody is in coma. When he comes out, when he sees his children have grown up, his wife has become old, all of that, he will feel sad. But then during the 10 years period, he was in Ananda. He was in a state of Ananda. Right? When he was in coma, he didn't resist. He didn't jump around. He didn't resist. Ayyo, why am I in coma? He's gone in coma. He cannot respond to anything. He cannot react. And in that state, he's calm, he's peaceful, he's fully rested. So when you are in that state of recognition of this constant existence, which is conscious, when you're conscious of this existence, what remains there is Ananda. And so Ganesha is Satchitananda. And this is, in fact, in the Tattvabodha. In Tattvabodha, Adi Shankara says, Atma ka. What is Atma? Saccidānaṃdādvitīyo'si swarupa iti Atma. He'll say, what is Atma? The only definition for Atma, Adi Shankara gives is Saccidānaṃdādvitīyo'si swarupa. That which is there is no other way of describing the Atma. It is existence, consciousness, bliss. Satchit Anandaha. And these three go together because it is always all pervasive, always there. And see, these may seem like, and it is true also, it may just seem like it's not part of my experience. It is not, you may talk about Sacchidananda. I can name my child Sacchidananda tomorrow. It's a very beautiful word. That is all we'll think, right? But really, it doesn't make any sense to me now. That's because the important thing is to investigate into it. See, what is sadhana is to investigate into the nature of things. Investigation is a very individual activity. We have to investigate into our true nature. No, nobody else. You cannot outsource this. I am very busy, pa. The next 10 years, I want to earn money. Can you please investigate for me? You do Atma Vichara for me. உனக்கு எவ்வளவு வேணுமோ காசு தரேன் நான். I'll pay you what you want. Can you please investigate and do Atma Vichara for me so that by the end of 10 years, I should be realized. I'll come with money. I will be. That will not work, right? It is so absurd. Even the thought of it is absurd. Why? Why is the thought absurd? Why are we laughing when we say this? Because it seems absurd. Because it cannot be done that way. We have to do it. It is only us. Nobody else is going to do it. Your child is not going to do, your mother, father, your husband, wife, nobody is going to do it for you. If you don't do it for yourself, nobody else is going to do for you. And people will come and tell, there may be 1,000 million people will come and tell you different things, how to do, what to do, when to do, why to do. But then, if that is not your seeking, not your yearning, not your intense desire to investigate, these will remain as definitions. Sacchidananda will remain as a beautiful name. It will not mean a thing. But then we investigate, we try to see why, what is this? What is happening within me? Why am I am myself different at different times. I am happy, I am sad, I am joyful, I am in grief, I feel miserable, I feel distressed, I feel excited. I find myself in different things, but this I never try to find. Right? So this this whole process of investigation of making some, and which is why this whole process of, again, Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam is important. We bring our minds to that. Because unless we hear the truth, or somebody points us in this direction, saying, if somebody points us to a lamp burning at one place, right? Somebody points us. Until somebody points us, we're not looking at it at all. Somebody is pointing us to a lamp and saying that, hey, look at it. It's burning so beautifully. And then your attention goes there. And then you start investigating. So you need Shravanam. Shravanam is required because somebody is drawing your attention to that. Bringing your attention to that. So that bringing the attention, somebody, you do it through Shravanam or through reading, either through listening or satsanga or whatever. You listen to, there is something like this. Because maybe somebody has experienced it, somebody has gone through some experiences of this kind. There may be some truth to it. So you listen to it through Shravanam. And then you process it. How is this possible? How is this? It contradicts with what I heard there. It contradicts with what this person told, that person told. But this person told something else. What is it? I process. Right? But what is this person saying? He's romba high level, high fundava chollendirka. Those are also things that we go through. But we process it. We try to process. We do mananam. We try to process the definitions that have been given. And then the third thing is important, which is sadhana, nididhyasana. Nididhyasana is we sit with yourself. Sit with yourself and then close your eyes and go through the whole investigation inside. What is happening within me? What is my mind doing now? This mind appears when I'm sitting in silent meditation, the mind appears to be so calm and so relaxed. But the same mind, when I am in the office meeting, and when somebody is pointing something at me, the same mind is getting agitated. The same mind. Right now, here it is like this. Why is it jumping there? And then when I suddenly my I look at somebody, this sort of jealousy. That person has this, that, and the other. Why is this mind creating this thought? And somebody is insulting me. Why is that? At that time, I'm again getting agitated. There is another time when I'm really joyful and happy. I go to the movie theater and watch Rajnikant dance, and I'm feeling so happy out of no reason. Dance and I feel joyful. The same mind is now joyful. So when you're sitting down, nididhyasana, look at yourself, look at ourselves. Why is this mind doing all these funny things at different times? And now suddenly, why wouldn't it's sitting quiet and silent right now, like as though quite right now. What is this happening? And then when you investigate more and more deeper into this, you realize that I leave to you what you realize, right? But when we go through this investigation, as we go deeper and deeper into this investigation, some of these things will start revealing itself. Some of these truths will start revealing itself to you. And then when some understandings come seeping out, when I'm sitting quiet, maybe the office meeting that person said something disturbed me because maybe I was too attached to the work that I did. Hence, my mind created this agitation. Right? I was associated. I was so proud of the work that I did, and somebody did not acknowledge it, and I got agitated. It's a very natural occurrence. Can I make my mind not agitated at that time? Right now, the way the mind is, can I keep the mind like this at that time? This is the whole sadhana. And then while we are in that meeting, then you bring your mind back and remind the mind, you are able to be in that state. Mind you, you're able to be in that state. It is not undoable by you. So we keep doing this time and again, and which is why sadhana usually is not just sitting down and doing dhyana. You do sitting down and you do dhyana to recognize that there is this possibility within me, and then you try to implement the same possibility at other times. When you're outside, when you're with people, transacting with the world, engaging with the world, you try to bring your mind and say that, no, it's possible within me. Why should I go through this agitation and anxiety and stress? It's possible. I can bring it to this. So as we do this, Shravanam, Madanam, Nidhyasanam, we listen, then this starts becoming little by little by little a reality. And then maybe when we say saccidānaṃdādvitīyo'si, sa Atma, then maybe we get an idea that, oh, possibly there is a silence within me that's possible. And then we start expanding through it. Advitīyo'si, it is Advitiya. It is, there are no two here. Because when there is silence, there is only silence. There is no, how do you differentiate silence? When you're experiencing silence, you're experiencing silence. Right? There is the silence which is within me, which is advitiya, which is undifferentiated silence. There's undifferentiated peace that I experience within myself. And then we go to the next stage where you expand this and you feel everything is one. Advitiya. Everything is one. So see what they have done here, they've packed a lot of these words into a single mantra. Saccidānaṃda, Advitiya, Brahman, all of that they've packed. But as you explore each one, essentially comes back to the same thing, that how do I recognize the silence and peace and joy, ananda within me? When I touch that, I retain that. Tvaṃ pratyakṣaṃ brahmāsi. Tvaṃ pratyakṣaṃ brahmāsi, which means you are that Brahman, O Ganesha. This Brahman that everybody is seeking. You are there. Where are you? saccidānaṃdādvitīyo'si, where ānandamayaḥ. You are in my own heart as Ananda, as joy. Tvaṃ jñānamayo vijñānamayo'si. Jnanamaya, vijñānamaya. Here in this case, jnana and vijñāna are differentiated as jnana is aparavidya, vijñāna is paravidya. Aparavidya is the knowledge of the world. In this case, in this particular context, usually jnanam abdin chonna, in Vedanta terms, jnanam means ultimate supreme spiritual understanding, knowledge. But in this case, jnana and vijñāna, when it's used, vishesha jnanam. Jnanam is samanya jnanam. Vijñānam is vishesha jnanam. Vishesha jnanam is special understanding. Special understanding means what? The understanding of this truth within me. The understanding of the world compared to the understanding of the truth within me, which one is easier? Let's put it this way. Which do we think is easier to recognize as to achieve that understanding? Is it easier to understand the world, knowledge of the world, or is it easier to understand the truth within me? It seems as though to understand the truth within me is the most difficult, right? Because there are no inward torch. All my torches, all the jnanendriyas are all pointed outwards. There is no jnanendriya which is turned inwards. So so difficult for me to know the inside. It seems as though knowing the outside is easy, but it's extremely difficult to know the outside. Can you tell me that even if you live 100 years, you'll know everything that is on the outside? People who have lived 100 years now, look at their plight. When they were 10, 15 years of age, they didn't even have a telephone in their house. They didn't know what a telephone was. Now today you are seeing this, there is communication happening through a mobile phone in your ear. You keep the AirPod in the ear, and for them the whole world has changed entirely. The way you communicate has changed. You see holograms and FaceTime and people standing on the other side and talking in virtual realities. So this whole world, so how can you ever catch up to the knowledge of the world? Even if you live 1,000 years, things will keep changing and there'll be always something new to learn. There'll always something that you wouldn't know. Actually, to gather worldly knowledge is the most difficult thing, because you'll never be able to do it in its entirety. But the truth of within ourselves, in comparison to that, it's far more easier. But why does it seem difficult? Is because we have not turned these torches inward. Right? All our faculties of search is outward, and we will not find it there. My jnanendriyas, my eyes, ears, nose, mouth, touch, everything is focused outwards. The only organ that I have to search inwards is my attention. Nochur Swami will say, Gavanam seluttardu abdimbar. Only thing, that is the only tool that's available with me. Gavanam seluttardu. Gavanikkardu, gavaningo abdimbar. Gavaningo, he'll use that term. So the iruppu gavaniyungo, which means you focus or pay attention to that substance that is within me. So it is a training. It's completely training yourself. We have to be ready for that training. We use these texts and scriptures and all of this content as a means to that training. These are all pointers and these are all tools to training ourselves to look inwards. That is the only tool that's available. Okay. So Ganaka Rishi says, tvaṃ vāṅgmayastvaṃ cinmayaḥ, tvamānaṃdamayastvaṃ brahmamayaḥ, tvaṃ saccidānaṃdādvitīyo'si, tvaṃ pratyakṣaṃ brahmāsi, tvaṃ jñānamayo vijñānamayo'si. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Kayena vacha manasendriyerva buddhyatmana va prakrite svabhavat karomi yatyat sakalam parasmai narayanaayeti samarpayami. Sadashivayeti samarpayami, jagadambikayeti samarpayami, sadgurunathayeti samarpayami. Hari Om Tat Sadgurubhyo Namah. Deva. Hari Om. Hari Om.